Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm going to do this a little bit differently than I usually do. This is going to be one of the vacation videos. In the past, I posted a video each night or the next morning of a day along the road. I wasn't able to do that this time because we were on the Harley and we just didn't have room for my computer and all the crap that goes along with it, cords and chargers and all that. So I recorded all the videos. I've got probably over 100 clips on my phone and probably about 50 GoPro clips that I'm going to have to go through, so it's going to take me a while. And I usually do a summary at the end. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do that summary right now at the beginning. And I want to also say that for those of you that are going to watch these videos, for all the trains that I saw just like on the Oregon trip. I saw one train. I actually saw two trains on the move, but I couldn't get a video of the second one because he's way off in the distance. And the only other one that I got on the move, other than the ones that I rode on during the trip, was opposing me as I was going out Highway 80 between Reno and Elko. But so there is some really cool footage from the Northern Nevada Railway Museum in Ely, Nevada, and some really cool footage from the California State Rail Museum in Sacramento. I did the rail ride at Ely, and we did the rail ride at Sacramento, and those are the only two rides I went on. But anyway, there's still a lot of cool stuff. I'm going to post it anyway. So the summary of the trip: we did 1,792 miles in 8 days, 8 entire days. We left on at 8 o'clock on Friday the 10th, and we got home day before yesterday, Friday the 17th, at about 8:30 at night. And so we were gone the entire time. The Harley did really well, averaged 41.7 miles to the gallon. That thing, with the 6-speed, it would have done better than that, except we fought a lot of headwind on the trip between Ely and Reno. It usually gets about 45 miles to the gallon. The most expensive gas that I saw on the trip, this is for regular, one premium in the Harley. I don't pay how much attention that costs, or I would probably throw up. But the most expensive regular was $6.97, and I saw that in a couple of different places at the major brands, Shell and Mobil and Chevron, up in Gold Country, up on Highway 49 in northeastern California there. The cheapest I saw was $4.35 a gallon at Holt Brothers Oil in Elko, and I actually filled up there. They had premium too. The premium was only about $5.05 a gallon, if I'm not mistaken. But nothing wrong with that gas. Harley ran just fine on it. The hottest temperature we dealt with was up in Gold Country, 103 to 105 degrees. Up further, I don't know. It was, I should say 100 through 105. But in Sonora, it was 102 in Sonora. And one of the issues with it being that hot up there is you can't go fast. You can't get any wind going. In the very few places that the speed limit does get up to 55, it doesn't stay there very long because there's a town every stinking mile, and you're always having to slow down to 25 miles an hour. It's just hot, and I didn't feel well, and it was very, very frustrating and very hot. The coldest temperatures that we encountered on the trip were in Elko and Ely, where the low temperatures while we were there was 31, but we didn't ride in that. The coldest weather we rode in was 58 degrees, and that was up at Donner Summit. We actually pulled over. Jennifer already had her coat on, but we pulled over up at a rest area on Donner Summit, and I put my jacket on. I didn't take a heavy coat with me. I just took a light jacket, and it worked out well enough. The worst weather we encountered was between Reno and Elko, where we battled crosswinds the entire way, and about a 4-hour ride altogether, just ferocious crosswinds. Never a moment to relax. As a matter of fact, there were virtually, I don't know, maybe 2 places along the way on the entire 8 days where I could just relax, enjoy the ride. Other than that, I was fighting wind. We also fought severe dust and some rain between Reno and Elko. And you'll see in the videos how dirty the bike got when we were at Elko. The nicest room we stayed in was at the Prospector Hotel and Casino in Ely, Nevada. Our room at the El Dorado Hotel and Casino in Reno was nice, but the one at the Prospector was just as nice, and it was more graciously appointed. They had cool stuff, and they even had a little rubber ducky in the bathroom by the bathtub. It was really cool, and they were really, really great people. We did not have a reservation at all, and we got a room there the first night, and then that's when Jennifer got sick, and I went the next morning, and you never have thought that there would be this many people in Ely, Nevada in the middle of the week, but they were sold out. But the gal there was able to rearrange where she had some other people so we could keep that room and Jennifer could get some rest. Very good people. If you're ever in Ely, Nevada, and you're going to be staying there, I highly recommend the Prospector. I can't do a worst room we stayed in because none of them were that bad. They were all pretty nice rooms. The beds were comfortable. I really can't say any more bad. If I had to pick one, I would say the La Quinta Inn that we stayed in Sacramento. We were actually in North Highlands, which is up on the north end of Sacramento, and my only complaint about it was at the intersection of Madison Street and Interstate 80. It was very noisy, but the air conditioner the fan made enough noise that I was able to sleep and not be awakened. But in the middle of the night, about 2 o'clock in the morning, the fire alarms went off for the hotel, and I went outside to see what was going on. And what had happened was there were a lot of panhandlers in that area in the parking lot adjacent to where we were, and one of them was wasted and had pulled the fire alarm and then was semi-passed out on the sidewalk in front of one of the rooms and puking and making all kinds of noise, and the cops finally came and hauled him off. But the room itself was nice. Once all that hoopla was over, I went right back to sleep and slept well the rest of the night. The best food that I had was at Brew Brothers inside the El Dorado Casino and Hotel in Reno. It was absolutely, positively, far and away the best pastrami I've ever had in my life. I like pastrami's, and the ones I get around are usually pretty good, but this thing was on another level. If you're ever in Reno and you want to get a good pastrami, go to Brew Brothers inside the El Dorado. And nobody complained about their food. Everybody seemed to like what they got, but that pastrami was beyond awesome. The worst food I had, you might think that it was at the Denny's I got stuck eating at the second morning in the morning that Jennifer got sick. The night before, and when I got up the next morning, I just did a solo day in Ely, and I went to breakfast. There was no place in town that was open except for the restaurant downstairs, and I wasn't even sure they were open for breakfast. So I fell right into town and get some mom and pop restaurant. They were all closed, and I ended up at a Denny's at the Hotel Nevada, and it actually wasn't bad. The worst food was at Margarita's Mexican restaurant inside the Prospector, and that was the second night. The first night we were there, I got chicken mole. It was pretty good. Jennifer got pollo verde, which is like chili verde with chicken, and she said it was really good. But the second night, I got an enchilada, rice and beans there, and it wasn't gross or terrible or anything, but it wasn't any good either. When Denny's can beat your meal, you need to work on your enchiladas there, Margaritas. Your enchiladas are very plain, very flavorless, and you need to do something about that. I had breakfast there the next day with a subscriber, Matt Liverani, and had chorizo, and it was actually pretty good. The coolest thing that I saw on the trip was the Nevada Northern Railway Museum. I know that everybody raves about the California State Rail Museum in Sacramento, and it is a really awesome place. It's got the only cab forward in existence on display. It's got a lot of really cool static displays, but and the train ride that you take there, it goes out 3 miles and comes back, and you get to watch the locomotive go around and go to the other end at the end of it. But you got I-5 on one side of you and the Sacramento River on the other. There's nothing really scenic about either one of those. The Nevada Northern Railway Museum is a working museum. They have a working railroad. They have many working locomotives. They have rolling stock that they use. They have a working engine shop, a working blacksmith shop. Everything about that place is awesome. It's really cool. If you've never been there and you're a train fan or you just like that kind of history, it is a bucket list place. It is really worth going to Ely, Nevada, which is way out in the middle of nowhere. But it's really, really worth going. I understand that they just got a $10 million grant to extend the line now. That train ride, when you take it, goes out 13 miles up the old, it splits off the old Nevada Northern Main Line and goes up to the line that went up to the Kennecott Mine. It was the Kennecott Spur. And I don't know if they're going to reopen the old main line, the Nevada Northern Main Line, or if they're going to extend the track down to where the smelters used to be. I don't know how it's going to work. But if they do that, it'll be really cool, to a place called McGill, which is about probably another, I don't know, 5, 6, 8 miles from where it ends now. But where it ends now, you ride up there, and it's not awesome scenery or anything, but it takes you way up above Ely and towards McGill, and they park at a siding and run the locomotive by you and go to the other end, like they do at Sacramento. But it's a 10-mile-an-hour train. It takes it's a 13 miles, I think it said that, but 13 miles one way. It is really cool. And then when you get off the train, they take you on a tour of the engine shop. It's really cool. You're free to walk around the yard and check all this other stuff out. You'll see that in the videos, which we were able to do. The old coaling tower, just a really, really cool, the best rail museum I've been to, and I've been to quite a few of them. A must-see if you're a rail fan or a fan of things like that. The most disappointing thing on the trip was the Reno Harley-Davidson shop. Reno Harley-Davidson, you suck. You really suck. For a town that big, you'd think they'd have, not that I was looking for a bike, but you'd think they'd have a better bike selection. They have hardly any bikes in there. Their apparel selection sucked. Whenever I travel on the Harley especially, I always travel a few shirts light because I know I'm going to stop at places along the way and get a couple of shirts. There was nothing at Reno that, first of all, it had very few. I wear an extra large. It had very few shirts in extra large. They had all of the triple and quadruple X's you could want, but how many people do you see that really are that big that need those shirts? And they didn't have anything Jennifer wanted. I need a new helmet. My helmet was leaving black marks on my head. It's getting thrashed. And they had no helmets that fit me. Well, they had one helmet that fit me. They wanted $345 for it because it had a Bluetooth in it that I wouldn't have used. But yeah, I was not impressed. I went to the Reno Harley shop years ago, and it was actually pretty well stocked, but it isn't anymore. The closest call we had on the bike was, you would think it'd be in those nasty winds between Reno and Elko, but the closest call, we were on Highway 50, about 15 miles west of Eureka, and it was on a section of road that had been freshly oiled, so I was going slower anyway. The wind was blowing, it was a crosswind, so I was really focused on the road, and I saw a couple of cars coming up, and I saw the car behind the one coming towards us turn the blinker on, and I knew that idiot was going to pass, and he didn't have room, and he did. He came out. I don't know if it was a he or a she, I didn't look, but I was already going about 50 or 55. I wasn't going fast on the fresh oil, but I came almost to a stop all the way over to the side of the road, and the car was still in our lane, completely in our lane when it went by us. If I would have been spacing out, looking at something else or thinking of a song or so I don't ever ride with my stereo on. I hear people do that, and I can't do that. I can't focus on anything and listen to music at the same time. I just can't do it. I don't even know how to turn the stereo on that damn bike. Yeah, that was a close call. All the roads on the whole trip were good. As I've always said, Nevada has pretty good roads all over the place. I've never really encountered a bad road in Nevada. And California, the roads are in pretty good shape. You hear people complain about them, but those kind of people are the kind of people that just like to complain. California actually has pretty good roads. The only thing I would say, if I had to say something about any of the roads, was on Interstate 80, going over Donner, in the slow lane, and sometimes when the third truck lane would peel off, it would be in the center lane. But the road's like this. It's grooved in it's got the groove on one side, then a crown, then another groove, like the weight of the truck wheels is just caving the road in or something. And a couple of times it was pretty sketchy changing lanes. The bike would definitely feel it. I don't think it was dangerous, but definitely get your attention. But other than that, I didn't have a problem with any of the roads. The worst traffic is a tie between, we left South Lake Tahoe, where we stayed the first night, and rode around the lake up to Highway 89, and it was so crowded. And Tahoe is just like Gold Country. There's a little community about every half a mile, and just traffic out the yin-yang. It was just insane. Once we got on Highway 89 and rode down to Truckee, that was pretty good. The last time I rode around Tahoe was probably over 15 years ago, and it was exactly the same way. It took us all day to ride around the lake because of all the traffic. And coming down I-5 from Sacramento, oh my goodness gracious, I don't know what was going on, but I just could not believe the volume of traffic. We were probably down around Lathrop before we were ever able to work up a head of steam and get over 60 miles an hour. And all the way, we got off at 7th Standard Road, and all the way down, it was just, the traffic was brutal. But nothing I'd consider dangerous, just real heavy traffic. Had to keep your eyes peeled and pay attention all the time. And the worst part of the trip was both of us at one point or another were sick. I was sick when I left. I thought it was just my allergies. It started bothering me the day before. Friday going up, the whole day I felt horrible, and the heat didn't help. I was almost in a foul mood by the time we got up into the mountains, where it started cooling off. And by the next night, we stayed in Tahoe, and the next day we got up and rode to Reno. And by that evening, I felt pretty good and felt good the rest of the trip. Jennifer got sick the evening we got to Ely, and said we ended up staying an extra day there just so she could sleep and rest and get to feel a little bit better. We had Bill Best, my buddy, that we went up to on the original trip with our friends, offered to drive to Ely and pick her up. And she didn't want to do that. And then we got to Fallon, and she was still not feeling well. And I looked it up and told her, hey, when we get to Reno, I'll put you on a plane. It's only a couple $100 far at Bakersfield. But she was having none of that. And she was a trooper and sucked it up and did the whole trip and did the museum, the Cal State Rail Museum, the last day, and then blasted home. And she still doesn't feel well, but now she's home. The Limited, the new bike, this was the first big trip that we've taken on it. We rode it up to Northern California right after we got it, but it was a stop and go kind of a trip. This was a big trip. As I said, almost 1,800 miles. What an awesome bike. What an awesome bike. It's comfortable, it's smooth, it's fast. If you want to go fast, I'm not a hot rodder, but if you need to get up and get around somebody, it gets it on. It cruises so nice. I'm so glad I bought that bike, and I know why I waited so long to get one. But we had a great time. Even though sickness intervened, it didn't kill the vacation. And all the other stuff is just part of the big adventure. Wind, rain, weather, crazy traffic, whatever. It's part of the adventure. I'm glad we went, and I can't wait to take you along with us. I know that not all of you are going to watch this because it's not all about trains, but a lot of cool traveling, hit a lot of museums, and so I hope you all check it out. All right, keep shooting me the ideas, drop them comments below. Shoot me an email at motorpoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see you all later.